Okay. Good afternoon and welcome to a very special interview show of the Prode. Today it's my pleasure to have Long Xingchun from China on our show. Sir is the president of Chengdu Institute of World Affairs and PhD from Beijing Foreign Studies University. Thank you very much, sir, for agreeing to this interview and welcome to the Prode.
Thank you.
Sir, recently China has claimed many parts of the lands of various countries. Are the areas that China is claiming genuinely belongs to China or it's a part of China's expansion strategy? Put some light on this matter.
Actually, it's not recently claiming and China claims the territory more than 18 years ago, just after the Second World War, by the then former Republic of China. So it's long history. Last recently, because China is a very big country and a very old country, so there are some territorial dispute with neighboring countries is quite normal. So the key is how can China and our neighbors to solve the dispute. As China always emphasize that to solve the problem, so solve the territorial dispute by peaceful negotiation. So that's our non-standing stance on the territorial dispute with neighboring countries. Actually, China solved most of the territorial dispute with our neighbors like Russians, Korea, Pakistan, Nepal, and most of the countries, even Vietnam, on the land territorial dispute. So I believe China and our neighbor countries, we can solve the territorial dispute by peaceful ways. But unfortunately, some foreign powers like the US, they try to alienate China and our neighbors, and also they want to benefit from the tension between China and our neighbors. But I think China and all our Asian countries, our neighbors, we have enough wisdom, we try to be more smart to solve our problems peacefully and contribute to the common interest and the regional stability.
So, what is the importance of China in global politics, keeping in mind the current scenario?
I think because China now is the second largest economy in the world and also one of the 5 permanent members of UN Security Council, so China has enough ability and also the obligation and to the world and to human being to contribute to China's ability, responsibility to the world peace and development. I think it's very important. All major global issues cannot be solved if there's no Chinese participation.
Yeah. Okay, so many countries claimed that China was the one who was responsible for spreading the SARS-CoV-2 virus, including the United States. How would you respond to them, and what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, but it's not true. Not many countries, only a few countries, as you mentioned, the United States and his follower like Australia, very few countries, that many countries claim that China should be responsible for COVID-19, the pandemic of COVID-19. So such kind of charge has no any concrete or professional scientific evidence to support such charge to China. It's irresponsible for the world. All the professional scientists and doctors in the world, including some leaders from WHO, do not agree with such kind of charge on China. So we should understand this kind of issue based on scientific evidence, not by driven by political reasons or by some populism, especially in the US, because the government, Donald Trump, the administration mishandle the issue of the COVID-19 pandemic in the US. So they want to shift and avoid the responsible and shift to China, and also to shift to avoid their own obligation or responsibility. So I think that's driven by political reasons, not by the fact and truth. There's no any scientific evidence to support the charge. No many countries, only a few, especially the US and Australia. Till now, even the UK and Canada do not support such charge by the US.
Okay. So from last few months, the relations between India and China are getting worse. How do you see this?
Yeah, and because of the border dispute between China, actually it lasts about more than 70 years old. So it cannot be so. I think it cannot be solved in a short term. And so the key for two countries is to manage the dispute, manage the crisis, try to avoid the dispute or conflict. So unfortunately, it happened in this June because result some casualties. I think I believe two countries should take calm and rational, more strategic view to handle the bilateral relations. I think China is very important to India, and India also is very, very important to China. People we can choose neighbors, but for countries we cannot choose neighbors. Even we don't like each other, but we should manage our relations and try to work together and live together peacefully and friendly. I think the leaders, both leaders from two countries should be very rational and calm and guide the bilateral relations to a very friendly and peaceful environment for two countries and to society should not trigger hostility and hate between two countries and two people. I think that's very important.
Okay, so what are the major political reasons, according to you, behind the changing relationship between India and China?
So I have been studying India and China, India nearly 20 years. So it's difficult for me to understand the recent foreign policy, the diplomatic actions by India. So, for example, boycott China and forbidden stop the use of so many Chinese apps in India, and also stop many Chinese companies involved in India's road construction or technical equipment. So even there are some problems, like border dispute, but from Chinese perspective, we can separate the dispute with our normal trade and economical cooperation. And unfortunately, so we cannot understand why Indian government takes such actions. But because for one thing, it damages China-Indian relations or damage China interests, but it also caused a lot of loss for Indian people, Indian companies, because they benefited from the friendship, the cooperation between China and India.
Even in India, there are many people like who are not supporting this particular ban, because there are many youth people, especially students, who are a fan of TikTok and fan of Share It and apps like this.
Yeah, so the friendship and the cooperation between China and India, that's the interest of two countries and two people. So I hope that two countries, two government and leaders should make efforts, find some new way, creative way to take the bilateral relations back to normal.
Okay, So how can India and China come together once again, and how can we take our year-long friendship forward peacefully?
And in my personal opinion, I think for the two countries, especially leaders or elites in two countries, should be more responsible, I think, rational, try to be more pragmatic. Uh, for some reasons, some preference between China and India, we should understand the importance of both countries to each other. As I mentioned before, for countries, we cannot choose neighbors. Even we don't like each other, we have to live together. So, because China and India were two
Yeah,
big powers, two
yeah,
big powers in Asia and the world. We shoulder responsibility not only for two countries,
yeah,
but in Asia region and the world. So we should view the bilateral relations strategically and then find some constructive way
yeah,
to talk each other. I love, recently Mr. Modi have some phone call with many leaders around the world. And also President Xi Jinping also have had so many phone call with some other leaders. But till now, there's no direct dialogue between President
yeah,
Xi Jinping and Prime Minister Modi. I
yeah,
think, I hope that two leaders should talk each other directly, and then you can create a very good and normal, friendly atmosphere between for two countries and to society.
Okay, so many experts believe that China will emerge as a global leader post COVID-19 and it will replace the United States, or you can say dethrone the United States. So, what are your thoughts on this?
Because China like India, with the same similarities. China will have 1.4 billion population. India will have 1.3
Yeah,
population,
yeah,
and naturally, two countries, even in the world, in the history, two countries is very important in
yeah,
history in the world. So now, we're, just come back to the history, we just restore our position in like in history. So China, of course, will become very big power and one of the leader in the world. But should not. China cannot, and we will not replace US. I think both China and India, we emphasize, we support the multipolar system.
yeah,
Multipolar system. I think in the near future, in world order, we emphasize, we support bipolar system. So we support uh, democracy, the democracy of
yeah,
international relations.
yeah,
And this world cannot be dominated by one country, like the US, China. We should work together with US, Russian, European Union, India. All big powers should play the role, should have the space in world affairs. So the world affairs, all human beings cannot be dominated or controlled by one country, no
yeah,
matter it's US or China and other countries. So
yeah,
China will always emphasize democracy, democracy of international relations.
yeah.
We can talk each other, consult each other to global or international issues. So all the major issues cannot be controlled or decided by only one country.
Yeah.
China will play very important role because we largest population or the one of the largest economy.
Yeah. Okay. So I would conclude by asking that do you see any possibility of improving relationship between USA and China? If yes, then how?
I believe because the friend and the cooperation between China and US that benefit for two countries and two people. Now recently the tension of China and the US relations is not for not good for the not beneficiary to China and the US. So if you talk with the US, the common people and the companies, the CEOs, they hope that China and US we should work together because China and US are highly interdependent each other. We import a lot of goods from US and also export a lot of goods to the US. Both people benefit from the trade and the friendly relationship between China and US because China, US is a nuclear power, but China also is a nuclear power. So we cannot imagine the war or even any military dispute between China and the US. That not only is a disaster for China and the US, but a disaster for this planet.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir, for taking up the time, and thank you very much, sir, for joining us. Thank
Thank
you
you.
so much.
Thank you.
The
See
session
you
was very
later.
important. Thank you so much, sir.
Okay. See you later.
Yeah.